The Clean Pocket Boys are back for a division round recap. I had to bring in Gruden. We left Colt and AQ on the sidelines. We had to get the real ball knowers in this one. We got to talk about the first game, the Chiefs and Texans. The Chiefs moves on to their 8th straight conference championship since Mahomes became quarterback. Jay, what were your takeaways from this one?
Well, I think Houston did a much better job than I thought of moving the ball up and down the field. They just had too many untimely sacks, 8 sacks for the Chiefs defensive line, a couple of missed field goals, and they just could not finish drives. And hats off to Kansas City's defense. And then when you give Patrick Mahomes all those extra looks, he's going to make a play or two that's going to be the difference in the game. And he did that. And obviously Travis Kelce had over 100 yards. So you got to figure out a way to stop Travis Kelce, and you got to figure out a way to get the ball in the end zone or at least get 3 points against the Kansas City defense, and Houston couldn't.
And the one thing that irked me about this game is the pass protection of the Houston Texans. Jay, we've talked about this at length on this show. It wasn't just players getting beat. It was missed assignments. It was hot protections where they're releasing the back out of the backfield, and they're not squeezing properly up front. And every time it was a big play in that game, Steve Spagnuolo dialed up, I don't want to say it was a zero pressure every time, but dialed up a pressure. And the Houston Texans had no idea who they were blocking. Did you see Karlaftis? They left the tight end and they brought Dare, I'm not going to even try to say his last name, over from the other side of the running back from the other side of the formation. And Karlaftis just ends the game. I couldn't believe in the biggest moment they're calling that protection.
Well, it's a max protection, Justin. They are tired of getting hit in the face, so they tried to double team Karlaftis with the tight end in the back, and that didn't work out too good. You know, they tried to go 6-man protections, they couldn't pick it up. 5-man protections, they couldn't pick it up. 4-man rushes, they couldn't pick it up. It was just an absolute horrifying experience for C.J. Stroud back there. You got to put some of it on him, too. He's got to know where the free runners are and escape and throw the ball away. But taking 8 sacks, not good.
Well, it almost reminded me when I watched the game later, and maybe this will be a good segue into it. Jaden Daniels, though, was checking protections. And I'm seeing him coming up to the line of scrimmage when Detroit's giving him funky looks. He's making protection checks. He's getting the ball out quick. Actually, there's one more thing on Kansas City we got to touch on. What's your thoughts on the penalties, on the Patrick Mahomes, the flopping, him getting some favorable calls?
It's getting old, and in fact, I think I just saw a flag. I think Buffalo just got called for roughing a passer already. It is. Seems like it's one-sided, but you gotta point to the rules of the game, and they're trying to protect the players. I get it, but it just seems like every week Patrick and the Chiefs just get 1 or 2 or 3 of those extra calls that just don't seem right. And it's I know fans are getting tired of it. I'm getting tired of it. Everybody's getting tired of it, but it is what it is, I guess.
Commanders and the Detroit Lions, they didn't need any help with the spread. It was domination from the moment they rolled the ball out there. Commanders win 45-31 over the Detroit and Dan Campbell Lions. Jay, this is your squad. Commanders, you didn't call the Commanders. You wanted to call the Commanders. You just thought that the Lions might be a little bit too much.
Yeah, home field advantage. Detroit's had a hell of a year. They had a bye week. You just think at some point a rookie quarterback's going to screw up, and this guy does not screw up. He throws to the right guy, understands protections, scrambles when he has to scramble. He's accurate. This guy's a monster. He's by far the best quarterback in the NFC right now. And this Washington Commander team feeds off his energy and his decision-making and his ability, and they never feel like they're out of a game. They got behind early, and they just came back and scored. He got a couple interceptions, 0 turnovers this guy's had. He's only taken 1 sack.
That's insane.
The guy's incredible. And in Detroit, say what you want. Every once in a while, Jared Goff will throw the ball to the wrong team, and he did it against Washington, and Washington capitalized in a big way. A reverse pass that went astray that Ben Johnson tried that didn't really have to try because they were moving the ball at will, but that cost them as well. So, it's just the Commanders are playing opportunistic football on defense. They're playing efficient ball on offense, and they're not beating themselves. They only had 4 penalties, and Jaden Daniels, their 4th down conversions were great again, other than the Marcus Mariota quarterback sneak fiasco. They're playing well.
What were they trying to do there?
I don't know if he's trying to pitch it back to Jaden or what. I watched it on tape, and good thing he didn't pitch it back because Detroit would have stopped him for a loss of 12. But I don't know what the hell happened there. But anyway, that's the only negative play you could say the Commanders had in that football game. Yeah, they're a fun team to watch. I mean, they're mostly when you click on a TV, you want to watch a Commander game because of the excitement Jaden Daniels has brought to that team.
The best thing about the Commanders too is every time it's someone's turn to make a massive play, that guy makes it. Whether that was Brian Robinson picking up a big, conversion, it was obviously Jaden on all the fourth and shorts. At this point, how many fourth down calls can Cliff Kingsbury have in the offense? He's just calling his regular plays. You have Zach Ertz making spectacular catches at crucial times.
I don't know. Yeah.
Diami Brown, is that the Diami Brown?
Diami, yeah. He's doing a good job. He had a big drop on third down early in the game and came back and made some big time plays down the field. And obviously Terry McLaurin takes a screen 70 yards to the house. I mean, just explosive. Outruns Kirby Joseph. Austin Eckler's making plays. You're right. I mean, it's just one after another, and they don't blink in critical situations. Third down, fourth down, game on the line. They don't really discriminate who's going to get the ball. It's whoever's open. Jaden's going to get it to you. So you better be ready and you better get your ass open and Jade will give it to you. He's unbelievable.
My biggest fear, and I don't want to get too much into the team they're playing next. They lost their right guard, Sam Cosmi, who's probably their best offensive lineman, and Philadelphia's best defensive lineman plays over the right guard the entire game. So that is going to be something to look for. Hopefully Sam Cosmi's back. He's healthy. They're going to be going up to Philadelphia for the third game. So let's just jump right into that Philadelphia game. Or is there anything on Detroit? Like, has the window closed on Detroit?
I don't know what the contract situation is. You're the contract expert, but as long as that offensive line stays intact, and they get Laporta still there and Jahmyr Gibbs and Jared Goff and Amon St. Brown, offensively, they're going to be just fine no matter if Ben Johnson leaves or not. They're going to be efficient. They're going to be awesome on offense. They get some guys healthy on defense, add a few guys to their defense, and they'll be right back in the NFC Championship again, I would guess, if they could just upgrade their defense, get those guys healthy. Because, they lost Robertson on his third play of the game. That was their best corner who's going to match up with Terry the whole time. And the second or third play of the game, he goes down. Now you're going in with another corner. Carlton Davis has already been out, so it's just been a nightmare for the defense for the Detroit Lions. But when they get those guys back, they'll be right back in the championship game.
Like in the draft, they're going defensive line the entire time, like just edge rushers, depth on the D line. Everywhere else, they have talent they can overcome. Goff, I think Goff might have been a little. After he got hit by Frankie Louvu on the pick six, I think he might have been a little, his bell might have been a little rung for the rest of the game too.
Yeah, he got knocked out on that play. I was surprised he came back in. That was a violent hit, and the first interception that he threw for a touchdown, that was just an overthrow. Then the other one he threw on a post route to Jameson Williams, that was just a great play by Sainistral. I mean, it was a great play. He made the right read. His quarters, the safety came down. He threw the post route over the top, and Sainistral made an excellent break on the ball. And yeah, hats off to the Washington players. I mean, they got so many new players, additions on defense that's helping them and making big plays. And then obviously the addition of Jade has been critical. And these guys have a chance to not only go to the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl with the way they're playing on offense.
It's absolutely insane. I mean, if you would have asked me before this season, I think I had them at like six wins. Like 6 wins was a good year for the Commanders. And now
they're playing in the NFC Championship game with a chance to go to the Super Bowl.
All right, hold on.
They were 3-14 or something like that last year. They were horrible. They had Frankie Louvu. They had Bobby Wagner. They had, they had some other guys. Sainistral, they get in the draft. They had Lattimore here late. They had some other guys, some pieces, the defensive lineman who had a sack fumble. Armstrong. He had a big sack fumble. And they had Jaden Daniels at quarterback. And all of a sudden, this is one of the best teams in NFC, will be one of the best teams in NFC for the next 10, 15 years. Hats off to the Commanders for drafting this guy and getting Coach Quinn. Coach Quinn's a perfect, he's got a perfect temperament for this football team. He's very energetic, very positive, and it's very easy to play for a guy like this. He keeps the building kind of light and great energy, and great energy is good to have. And obviously Cliff's done a good job, and the defense has done a good job. So they're one game away from going to the Super Bowl.
Insanity. All right, well, let's talk about the team that they're going to match up against. The Philadelphia Eagles. The Rams came to town. Second half, the snow starts coming down. Saquon Barkley closes the door. Even though Matthew Stafford tried to pry it open at the end, the Rams had some offensive line MEs to end that game, or else they could have potentially won. Break down this Eagles-Rams game from what you saw.
In football, every game means more during the playoffs, and you can start your own personal playoffs on Underdog, where you could cash in on touchdowns, interceptions, yards, or more. All you have to do is pick higher or lower, and you could take home up to 1,000 times your money if you get your picks right. It's that simple. Millions of fans have already won billions of dollars making picks. Sign up for Underdog today using promo code POCKET, capital POCKET, and you'll get a free pick as a part of your first cash entry plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. Again, that's promo code POCKET.
Yeah, it's too bad. They did a pretty good job on Jalen Carter for most of the game, and then they turned him loose on one of the most important plays for a huge sack. So Jalen did step up in a critical time, and Matthew did a good job for most of the game of moving the ball and playing well. But he had that big fumble and obviously the big stop at the end of the game. They were right there in it, man. It looked like when Saquon scored a touchdown to go up 13, turn out the lights on LA, but Matthew Stafford came back like a champ and got the ball in the end zone. Then they got the ball back after the punt and just couldn't seal the deal, couldn't finish it off. But that was a hell of a game and a great season for LA too as well. Not many people expected them to be in this situation with a chance to go to the NFC Championship. You know, everybody thought San Francisco or even Arizona and Seattle in that division, but they came out of that division and made a hell of a run. It was a hell of a game. And Philadelphia, they got to fix something with their passing game. I don't know if they can beat Washington if they can't throw a forward pass. Now, I know Saquon's great and Jalen Hurts can run the ball too. They had 220 yards, 250 yards rushing again, but they're going to have to get the ball to A.J. Brown at some point.
I mean, A.J. Brown, he did have that one deep shot that he bobbled and dropped out of the side of the end zone, which I guess keeps you honest a little bit. But, man, that Philadelphia Eagles team, it just seems like they make the right play at the right time, despite their kicker trying to lose the game for them. I don't know what they said to Jake Elliott after the game in the locker room, but, man, he missed 2 field goals that would have cost them that game. They got
an extra point. He missed the first extra point too.
It's been the first extra point of the game, and then he missed the last.
It's scary because these games going to the Super Bowl or playing for the NFC Championship and then playing in the Super Bowl, they're going to probably come down to a field goal here and there. And if you don't have faith in your kicker, then you're going to be a coach standing there. Let's go for it on 4th and 7 against the Chiefs defense or against the Bills McDermott defense or against Dan Quinn who might be blitzing or, it's not easy. These aren't easy downs and you need to bank those points, put those points in the bank. And if you don't have faith in your kicker, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for the Eagles.
All right. Well, you mentioned the run game. Hurts gets hurt in the game. He's got a knee injury. So if he can't run and he can't really throw, it's just the Saquon Barkley show. And hey, Philadelphia, that Colt McCoy is telling me this. I'm just repeating McCoy. Go attack Colt. Don't attack me.
Yeah, I don't know how bad his knee is. Hopefully he'll be right for this game. He only played a quarter against the Commanders last time, and the Commanders beat him. So I don't know, even with or without Hurts, it's going to be a tough day for Philadelphia. They'll be able to run the ball, and they're going to get some yards running the ball. You saw Detroit had almost 500 yards of offense. We're not saying this is going to be a Commanders' easy victory. Not at all. It's going to be a tough one for both teams, but Philadelphia's going to have to throw the ball. That's for sure.
All right, you're Mr. NFC North. Is the NFC East early prediction for 2025? Best division in the NFC.
When they get Dak back, the Giants will still be down, but the emergence of the Washington Commanders.
Take a shot of my Giants, they were just hanging
terrible.
Out.
Yeah, they're going to be terrible again. But with Dak back in Dallas, Dallas still was only 8-9, I think, or 9-8. They played pretty good with all the injuries, and obviously Philadelphia and Washington, yeah, for sure. But the NFC North will still be good. Caleb Williams will be better next year, and obviously Detroit and Green Bay is going to be better. Hopefully Jordan Love just continues to progress and get better, and then obviously Minnesota, they got to figure out what to do at quarterback. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of much better teams and much better competition. But the NFC North and East is the 2 best.
Stafford's done.
I don't know.
He's like, I'm going to think about it. I'm going to kind of.
Yeah, that's always when he played as long as he has and the season's over and you had a miserable ending to it, you're playing in the snow, your hands are cold, your feet are freezing. Somebody asks you, you're going to play again. You're like, I don't know yet, man. This is brutal.
He'll go see him play. I mean, he's still. Yeah.
He'll go on vacation, do another commercial for a bed or whatever the hell he does with his wife. And then he'll probably want to play again. But yeah, he's had a hell of a run. So either way,
I hope he plays. He's a baller, man. He's a baller. Speaking of other 2 ballers, and I guess I have to extend the olive branch because the Bills and Josh Allen, win at home against the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson, and we've gone back and forth on Lamar and Josh. I still think Lamar's the MVP, but Josh gets the upper hand in this game. It came down to a 2-point conversion dropped by Mark Andrews in the corner of the end zone. I wish we got extra football in this one. Give me your breakdown on the Bills Ravens.
Yeah, these are games you don't ever want to end. They're so fun to watch. These two great players. You know, Bills really didn't do a whole lot on offense. Josh only threw for about 127, only rushed for a few yards, but he had the 2 big touchdowns. And then defensively, the Bills had a key turnover. Lamar fumbled on and another interception. And then obviously they got the stop on the 2-point conversion. But it came down to Mark Andrews, right? 2 critical drops, a fumble, and then a drop 2-point conversion. That's the game. And of course, Lamar's fumble was, Did Von Miller look weird running that ball? I mean,
14 years in, Von Miller's not running that 4.5 or whatever he ran.
He just looked like he's running straight. Just come tackle me. I mean, weave or do something. My God, he's a great athlete.
His elusiveness in Madden just went down.
Yeah, Jesus, that looked bad. But anyway, yeah, those are the 3 plays: the fumble, the fumble by Andrews, and the drop by Andrews. But it just stinks that Lamar is going to be judged by that fumble, probably not interception. Well, he turned the ball over twice, but obviously he had an MVP type year. But again, he's sitting at home watching the AFC Championship game, and he can't get that to that Super Bowl. But it'll happen, I'm sure, sooner than later.
Yeah, I mean, I like when I watch this game. There definitely wasn't as much of an angst around Lamar Jackson. He was comfortable in the pocket. He was making his plays. He was taking off when he needed to. When he rolled out on that first series and he found Isaiah Likely, I'm like, oh wow.
Yeah,
this is gonna be a long day, but hats off to the Buffalo Bills defense. I don't want to say they absolutely just stuffed the run the entire night. Derrick Henry, Justice Hill, they broke a few, but the Bills defense in their front 7 came to play in that game. Matt Milano was teeing off on people. Inside you had, inside you had Jordan Phillips, you had Ed Oliver that was getting feisty, Daquan Jones, Greg Rousseau coming off the edge. Like I actually am very impressed with what the front 7 of the Buffalo Bills did, because we saw the Rams got embarrassed by Saquon Barkley. They got embarrassed again. Yes, the Ravens ran for, on paper, 176 yards, 5.9 a carry. But there was times during that game when the Ravens had to have it early on, and they could have just steamrolled the Bills. And that front 7 held strong. So that's very impressive. And they won't face nearly as good of a running team going to Kansas City. And this is what we've been waiting for. This is the game we've been waiting for. The Bills-Chiefs, number 2. Well,
we thought, I thought going into the game that the Baltimore Ravens were going to manhandle the Bills, both sides of the ball, really. And actually the Bills ran the ball pretty efficiently against that Raven defense. They didn't rush for a bunch of yards, but Cook, I think, had like almost 80 yards, which I didn't think he'd get more than 40. They got some holes in there, and I think you got to credit the offensive line for the Bills for stepping up and playing much better. And, of course, like you mentioned, the defensive line for stepping up, playing better against that Raven offense. So, Buffalo is here for a reason. Their quarterback is unbelievable, but their running game and their offensive line is also really, really good, and their defense is playing really, really good as well.
I got to give one quick shout out to Khalil Shakir. Like, that dude is in there blocking on toss cracks. He's getting open across the middle. I think he had like 70 yards yesterday, but he was just one of those players that Josh Allen referenced in his presser after the game. We're too small, not enough talent, not all these things. Like, it's guys like Khalil Shakir. It's guys like Mac Hollins that are down there pancaking Marlon Humphreys.
Came to the game in beachwear. I think Mac Hollins owes him that came to the game in beachwear and bare feet.
He doesn't wear shoes. He eats with his hands.
What do you eat with? You don't eat with your hands. You eat with what? Your feet?
I eat with utensils.
Oh,
I eat with fork and knife. He doesn't use utensils.
Okay, yeah. He's a tough guy.
It's not an act. I'm telling you, everyone, Mac Hollins is not an act. I'm a part of the NFLPA, the union. We had our meetings a couple years ago. We were going to go to a really nice restaurant, and Mac's like, I'm not wearing shoes. And I'm like, well, then you can't come to dinner, Mac. Like, if you're not going to wear shoes to a nice restaurant and you're going to eat I do like, eating wings with your hands, but like, you can't just grab a steak and just eat it with your hands in a nice restaurant. At home, when you get down to even if you get down to like you get a
T-bone
ribeye, a bone-in ribeye, you can eat it with your hands, but not in public, Mac. I mean, it's good for the football field.
He's good. He does a lot of the dirty work as well. Like you mentioned, him and Shakir both. They're a very unselfish team. And that's the way the Commanders are. That's the way the Chiefs are. That's why a lot of these teams are in it. The Philadelphia Eagles probably a little bit more selfish. A.J. Brown reading books on the sideline. But the other three teams are ultra unselfish. They don't care how they do it, who gets the credit. They just play together as a team. They don't mess up. Of the 4 teams left, how many turnovers they've had in the postseason or this week in the division round? 0. Chiefs had 0, Bills had 0, Washington had 0, and Philly had 0 turnovers.
Wow.
You think those matter?
What matters, Jay?
Turnovers, man. Red zone, third down.
Conversions, red zone efficiency.